Hello, grade 4 learners. Today we are to learn social science transportation forms in the air with Miss Team Vega. What are we to learn today? Our learning outcomes is to determine the different types of air transportation over time and discuss the similarities and differences between the air transportations. What's the first transportation? Well, that would be hot air balloon and airships. Hot air balloons were the first objects to carry people in the air, and a hot air balloon uses hot air to lift them above the ground. There's a special heater that puts in hot air, into the balloon so it can lift off the ground. So this balloon part, we call that the envelope, and they use a heater, a torch really, but we like to say heater, to trap to put in the hot air and trap it in the envelope, that big balloon. And a few passengers can travel in the basket under the balloon. The basket is this um, part where the passengers get to ride in the hot air balloon. So the wind blows hot air in the balloon, just like a riff in the sky. Let's look at airships. It's also exactly like the hot air balloon. Only difference, well, one of the differences is that it has an engine. And instead of putting in hot air in its own envelope, it uses a gas called hydrogen. It's very light, super lighter than the air, so the airship just gets lifted into the sky because the hydrogen filled in the envelope of the airship just lifts it up and helps it float in the sky. So the passengers are traveled are carried in a carriage, which may be inside the airship or might be just under the airship. These were one of the first airships back in the day that were invented. These are just the late ones. Airships had engines and it could be stood in the sky. Airships could travel long distances. Please keep that in mind. The hot air balloon cannot. It can, but it's not sustainable. Number two, the second form of air transportation was thanks to the Wright brothers. They invented the first airplane in 1903. The Wright brothers made the first proper air flight in in the in the plane was called the Flyer, and the plane flew 37 meters. And in 1909, one of the Wright brothers flew a plane around the Statue of Liberty in New York. Within a few years, people started to begin to make their own airship in many other countries, and the first airplane was too small for moving people or goods. So here's a picture of the Wright brothers with their first plane about to take flight, and the Wright brothers did do improvements on their first plane. They did put better propellers. They did improve the steering, and they had a lighter engine, better wings, all to make improvements of their first airplane by the Wright brothers. A third form of air transportation would be the modern times of air transportation. Since the time of Wright brothers, planes have become bigger and more powerful, and three important modern kinds of air transportation are helicopters and jet planes and super planes. which we're about to cover, but for now let's look at helicopters. Helicopters are very useful kind of a transport for traveling short distances. They don't need a big airport or a runway. If you're not sure what's a runway is a road where airplanes can just run to get the engine started and take off, or when the plane wants to land. So that's the use of the runway. Most helicopters are quite small and it can carry only a few passengers, so keep that in mind. Huge difference from hot air. It has an engine, as you can see. It doesn't need an airport. And the uses for the helicopter is that they use it as an ambulance vehicle to fly people to the hospital, and the police use it to chase criminals. Let's look at the rest of them, the other two. The jet plane. The jet plane engine is very strong. It's a type of engine that you use to make things move faster, and planes can have jet engines, which is called jet planes. Jet planes can carry hundreds of people. As you can see, it's huge, right? And since the 1960s, the jet planes are the most common type of transport for people to travel around the world. And that would be very easy to believe because it's fast and it can carry a lot of people. And in 2005, Airbus A380 made its own first flight, and it was the world's largest passenger plane, and honestly I could believe that because that looks huge. That's the Airbus, by the way. The second one was the super fast planes. In 1970, some countries developed a super fast plane called planes like Concorde, and it traveled over 2,000 kilometers per hour. That's crazy. And a Concorde took 3 hours and a half to fly across Atlantic Ocean from England to America. That's a huge distance. But an ordinary jet plane could take 8 hours to fly the same journey as Concorde. Concorde stopped flying in 2003 because it was expensive, but it is truly fast to take only 3 hours to fly Atlantic Ocean from from England to America. But an ordinary jet takes only 8 hours. That's 5 hours saved. Alright, let's look at what mom has made for your homework. The charts, much clearer picture. So your homework is to fill in A, B, C, D, E, F information. You're gonna write the name of the image, the air transports, which is it. Just as an example, let's do this one. This is I miss having a class to answer me back, but this is well known as a, if I had a clever student in class, I would probably say airship. And what's the first question? The energy that powers the airship is what we call a fuel engine. Good. And the characteristics of an airship: the envelope is filled with hydrogen. The airship has a carriage that carries a lot of passengers, and it travels long distances. Which year was it made, and how many passengers does it have? That's your homework. Okay, and looking at C, who can tell me? Oh, can possibly tell me which plane is this, but I'll answer, of course. This plane is made by the Wright brothers, and it was the first airplane, so that's the answer for C. And its characteristics: it has a steering, it has better propellers, it has wings, it has a lighter engine compared to the Airship. And remember the three differences between them. The first one is that the hot air balloon uses hot air, but the air carriage uses hydrogen. And the first airplane, it has a light engine, so it doesn't necessarily need any form of gas to lift it up. It uses an engine. And which year was it made and how many passengers? For D, you would answer the year of 1903 it was made, and it didn't carry a lot of passengers because it was too small to carry people or goods. So this is your homework to finish. Just write A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, and fill in the missing information. Let's do a bit of a recap. We have determined the different types of air transportation over time, looking at hot air balloon, airships, Wright brothers, which is the first airplane, and many more modern forms of air transportation. We have discussed the differences, the similarities and differences between the air transportation through our homework. And so I would like to say thank you. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, share, and comment. Uh, there are many more videos to watch. And thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.